Dude, look at all that damage! Oh my goodness, Drow, when we hold down our spell. That's sick. Yo guys, what is up? Max on an Elden Ring video, and today we are going over my Holy Reaper Confessor build. Now, this is a faith scaling build. We're going to be investing the majority of our points into faith and scaling our weapons damage and our spell damage off of faith. We've got some crazy spells, some crazy items. Today we're going to cover the build first, and then after the build, I will go over where to get each of these items if you're curious. This build excels with dual scythes if you want to just go super aggro, using a shield and a scythe for more methodical play, or just spamming out crazy spells. I have been having an absolute blast with this build. Really haven't had too many difficulties with any of the bosses, so I wanted to share the build. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you find it helpful and informative. If you do, be sure to drop a like, comment, and maybe even subscribe. And with that, guys, let's get right into it. Alright, so we're going to start by going over my stats. At level 65, I have 25 points into Vigor, 21 points into Mind, 12 Endurance, 14 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 9 Intelligence, 36 into Faith, and 13 in Arcane. Now, the goal of speccing your points is you want to have enough Vigor that you don't get one shot. You want to have enough Mind that you can comfortably cast a lot of your spells. Endurance so that you don't run out of stamina on boss openings. Strength and Dexterity just enough to get by. We don't need Intelligence at all. Faith is going to be our main damage scaler, and I put a little bit of points into Arcane just because I wanted to try out the Dragon Incantations. Now, my stats don't look great right now. In fact, right now, I can't even use my Winged Scythe. I can't even dual wield it because I don't have the Strength or Dexterity, and that's where Talismans come in. Some of the most powerful Talismans in the game will change so many things for you, and I'll go over how to get all of these. So this is our first Talisman, Radagon's Sword Seal. This adds 5 points to Vigor, 5 into Endurance, 5 into Strength, and 5 into Dexterity. This allows me to do my dual wield scything without having to spec a ton of points into Strength and Dexterity, which for the most part would be wasted points because I want to be scaling all my damage off of Faith. Our next Talisman is going to be the Two-Finger Heirloom. This is going to give us +5 into Faith, which gives us 41 Faith, which is enough to use... Let me drink one of those real quick. The Flame of the Fell God Fireball. Now, I'll be talking about the best spells in a second, but this spell is so cool and I wanted to be able to use it, and we're scaling our damage off of Faith, so it makes sense to have as much Faith as possible. And our last Talisman is kind of up to you. This is my flex slot. I always have Radagon's Force Seal. I always have the Faith. And then for the last one, you can kind of use what's up to you. I prefer the Radagon icon. Once again, I'll be going over how to get these talismans at the end of the video. I just want to get through our gear and show you guys what you need. This increases our spell casting speed. So as you just saw, I just casted one of those fireballs. It helps out a decent amount, especially on longer spells with longer cast times. If you're playing a Faith build, you will note that a lot of the times you get called out or punished when you cast a spell and the spell time is too long. With this, I can cast lightning spears like silly fast and just kill tons of things. So I really like that. But once again, this third slot really is a flex slot. You can use it for whatever you'd like. Now let's go over the rest of the gear. So I'm using a Sacred Scythe +8. Note, I am using the Art of War on this. That is going to give me Sacred Scaling, and that's very important to pick up. You can pick it up very early. I'm just going to show you where to get it real quick if you haven't gotten it, because it's kind of a must-have. If it's like over in this area right here, if you travel over to like the gate front, or honestly the Saints Bridge, it's down in this like ravine. There's a little beetle that'll drop it for you in this ravine. And it'll allow you to get Faith scaling on any of your weapons. Now, I prefer the Scythe. We are the Holy Reaper, so the Sacred Scythe +8 is using normal whetstones, and the Winged Scythe is using somber whetstones. That way we don't overlap whetstones, and both of these are going to scale off of Faith. Now, I have played a lot of this game, and I know D-Faith scaling doesn't look great. The only item that I found that's better than it is B-Faith scaling Cypher, but this is a fist weapon, and I prefer to use range. Even some of the later weapons that are like Clearly, faith weapons don't get better than D-faith scaling, so don't worry about the D-faith scaling. D-faith scaling is going to give you about 50% or 25 to 50% of your faith stat as extra damage on your weapons, so D is going to be just fine for us for now. And then for our armor, I'm using all Confessor armor just because I like the look of it. We're going for Fashion Souls. There are better pieces of armor, but we're trying to keep at the medium load light. And then for the best seal, I strongly recommend the Godslayer seal. I currently have a +10 with A faith scaling. This is going to allow me to hit ridiculous damage with my spells. And for most dungeon bosses, like most world bosses, dungeon bosses, I can basically just kite around them and kill them with Lightning Spear alone. For the main story bosses, I've had to use my scythe more, and so that's why we've got the dual scythe for that. All right, now let's talk incantations. While we do have dual scythes and they look very cool, your first approach to almost every fight should be spell casting first to try to deal as much damage as possible, or if it's a boss that just doesn't give you openings, to go in with your scythe, but try spell casting for most fights first. And the best spell that you can use, hands down, without a doubt, is the Lightning Spear. It's got a really fast cast time, so you don't get caught out when you're using the animation. It's got low FP cost. It's got ridiculous range. And for the damage to FP cost ratio on this thing, it's just the best thing I've used. Now, for AoE damage, we do have some options. And one of the coolest spells you can use is the Flame of the Fell God. Now, this is a 41 faith required spell to use, but it's so good. It seeks out enemies. One of the things that I've been frustrated with some of the incantations is they just miss. This, no matter where an enemies are, if you cast it while you're on horseback, it'll chase them down. If the enemy's like crazy fast, it can miss, but it'll chase enemies and then explode. And if you saw there, it does a fire AoE on the ground. So if enemies walk through the patch of fire, or if they get hit or standing in it, they will take constantly ticking fire damage, which is so cool. For other incantations, Dragonfire is my second favorite AoE. It's got really surprisingly good range, and you can move it around and hit just huge fields of enemies. I also really like the Frozen Lightning Spear spell. This is an awesome one to have in your back pocket. And lastly, the Black Flame spell. We are boosting Godslayer incantations, which the Black Flame spell is, with our seal, so it's always good to have Black Flame on you because you're just going to deal extra damage with it. For our scythe, you're going to want to come to the Cliff Bottom Catacombs. The scythe is in there right next to where you get the faith boosting talisman. And then for the actual winged scythe, you're going to want to come to Tombsward Ruins, which is down in the southern part of the map. All right, now let's go over talisman locations. The Purified Ruins is where you get the faith boosting talisman. You got to roll through a little kind of blocked entrance that's wooden. It'll break, and then you can go get that talisman. For the one that boosts the vigor, dexterity, strength, and endurance, that's in Fort Pharaoh. You're going to go to the top of the fort, and then you're going to jump down into a little secret room, navigate around, and then drop down into the item that you see when you first walk in, and that is the legendary talisman for that one. And for the talisman that boosts our spellcasting speed, you're going to want to go to the debate parlor, go out the right, you're going to jump over the little ledge, and then you will be above some chandeliers and stuff, and then you can grab the talisman that boosts your spellcasting speed. And then for our spells, for the Frozen Lightning spell, you're going to need to kill the Dragonkin Soldier of Nextala, which can be found in the Ansel River, secret section of the map. For the Flame of the Fell God, the giant fireball, you're going to want to come to Lernia Lakeshore, and then you're going to go into the Malefactor's Evergoal, and you got to kill the enemy there. You'll get Flame of the Fell God. And lastly, for the Lightning Spear spell, you want to come to the Artist Shack and kill the Lightning Knight that's just down the hill, turn in his book, and you'll be able to learn the Lightning Spear spell. Guys, that is going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you learned something new, if this video helped you, I really do appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. We're getting so close to 200K. I will have more guides and videos for Elden Ring, including the best faith weapons, the best endgame spells, and more. Stay tuned, guys, and take care. Peace. I was putting